We are back. We're back, and I know you were expecting this sooner. Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea what year you're actually watching this. All right. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Julia.
And this is the last video for Manchester, which I hope I spelled right. Did I spell that right?
You spelled Manchester right.
Okay.
So the one before was the art gallery.
You're right. We did the art gallery. I talked about the Vikings with the helmets, but not
this
helmets.
is the actual museum, so of course it's going to have two separate sections-ish, which is like the natural history part of it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have the historical part with a couple of really cool exhibits.
Special exhibits,
yeah.
Right. I guess we should just dive in,
Dive
right?
in, yeah.
So...
Very kid-friendly.
I think that's the big takeaway here.
Hugely kid-friendly. They have so many things that you could touch, and it was obvious what... It was obvious that it was...
You told me to.
A touch. But as you can see with the illustrations and how big the words are, and everything is kind of on kid level, eye level.
Right, we can't see where we're standing, but this isn't our eye level.
No,
this is lower.
And I think the only reason why the pictures came out as good as it was because I took them for the most
And an attack, all right.
Well, I'm a little bit more eye level to kids. And what is a natural history without a snapshot of Mr. T-Rex, the ultimate here?
He said hello.
That's him saying hello.
Hello. Okay. There's a lot to get through. I'm sorry.
And of course, Daniel's favorite.
Oh, my friend,
the
my little ocean friend. Aww. Yes. There's actually two of them there.
Yes.
There's one in the front,
one there,
one in the back, and they're like la la la. Okay.
A lot of fun things. So yeah, those are the things that are kind of looked down, but then they have the stuff to look up. It's an interesting way to do it
because they rebuilt it, but the way you would see it in the fossil downwards, and then they have the reconstructions above, and they have it for several sides of this. Fantastic exhibit because they even have the painting here. So 3 different ways to imagine the same thing.
Really feels like you're in the ocean with these aquatic.
But it's not
prehistoric
just
animals.
Some Jurassic Park-ish painting. It has the pictures, it has the construction, and like a real fossil, on the ground there's the real thing. So really I really appreciated the way they showed it in multiple ways.
And of course,
isn't this pretty?
It's still Christmas-ish
I think
season.
Those lights might be all.
But he was thinking that this because it's so beautiful and perfect.
It really is. So
that is a whale, I believe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Hawaii has a giant whale in our museum as well, so it looked very similar.
Maybe it's a crocodile. No, the room, just to give some context. It's a giant classic 2-story room that goes end to end, and each little divot in, each one of these is a different mini exhibit with the classic glass. So we're going to see...
a couple of them.
Yeah, so this is one of our favorites.
Obviously, Japanese cranes, origami cranes. This was kind of what the whole exhibit looked like from behind the glass. And then I have a couple of shots.
So zooming in a little.
Zooming in, we have the one little guy saying hello.
It's explaining how this is about peace. And so I'm just gonna scrolly, right?
And of course, we wanted to mention that Manchester could not be out liberaled because their whole thing is about making a sustainable world. How do we make our world more sustainable?
Their other very liberal honesty later, but first.
Yes.
So this was the part that was not part of the special exhibit, but they have a lot of
ancient historical pieces. I always joke that these ladies I resemble these ladies a little bit with the saggy
that old.
With the sagginess.
All right, you.
And of course, this is their mummy that they have on display all the time.
But they had a special mummy exhibit, so we're slowly. Can I just go a little?
Yeah, this is just a few ancient trinkets from Egypt.
Yeah.
So they do have a
pretty extensive
ancient Egypt display that's always there.
I wanted to kind of point to this. I thought this was really interesting. Basically, the idea is what if we got rid of the geographic borders and just kind of showed how people travel? And it's showing people from all over the world. This is Turkey, for example, coming to Manchester. And that's why Manchester has this very diverse background.
And they really were. When we were in Manchester, I ended up having to go to a pharmacy to get a refill on some of my prescriptions. And it was a halal pharmacy, but it was the best one in the area. It had really good reviews. And we were in a Middle Eastern-ish kind of part of the city, and it was so diverse, and it was so very open and welcoming that I can't say enough about the pharmacist who helped me out.
I'm not going to say London wasn't diverse, but be diverse and welcoming to all the communities. It felt like London was welcoming to their wallets.
Yes, they were diverse as they were rich.
You're trying to get out of this.
So anyway, moving on.
That was just a tangent.
So this is one of their special exhibits that they had going on, and it's about being Asian and being British.
Which I know nothing about either one of those. Look at this. So I'm just going to be awkward.
And they talk a lot about how the British had influenced Asian cultures from around the world and all of that, but also how Asian cultures, yes, you can move on, influenced Britain. So obviously you have parts of India. I mean,
yeah,
you can't awkwardly untangle themselves from each other, India and England.
No.
So there was a huge section of them. But then they also had more India. More? Thailand. You start getting into
this is Southeast Asia.
Southeast Asia in general. So they had some really cool things there depicted between clothes and innovations and natural healing medicines and that kind of thing.
And of defining course, Southeast Asia, which is weird because, if you live in Hawaii, which I think some of our viewers do, and you want to go to Thailand, you're actually not going east, you're going west, but everything's from England. Right?
But from England's perspective, so interesting.
Right. Can't help myself. Past and present.
Of course, so they...
It's a little blurry. Unblurred.
But of course, we do know of a conflict-full past, but the present is getting better, and I think that's the general message of this of this showcase. Flippy. So a little bit more modern art, and it shows a little bit of the history of the Indian people and the British people combining. And of course, things like
the Opium War.
Oh, so even China.
We're back to China, right?
But of course, the Opium War wasn't just China. It also did affect the regions around it, and a lot of it was Southeast Asia as well.
Yeah, and the people who were... Never mind.
But yes, huge thing on China. But as you can see, it's also very modern. You have the gal.
And very local.
Yes, the gal to the right. She is a tattoo artist, which is unusual for Asians in very white places. Usually, if there is some tattooing for Asians, it's usually within the Asian communities. But this was kind of like this duality that was going on that they were talking about. It was kind of cool.
Flippy.
And of course, traditional dress and garb.
Did I include it twice?
You included it twice. That's okay.
No, how embarrassing.
Ignore it. It's fine.
We did it twice.
This was a view from
because
inside.
We're right next to... We should mention, we're right next to the campus.
Yeah.
University of Manchester, which is celebrating 200 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Back to some natural history things.
Right, so this is scrambled eggs. Before we know.
Various bird eggs, fossilized bird eggs.
They had gone bad.
And of course, just material sediments from the different parts.
Right, different things. Tracking climate is what the thing is, but we're not gonna spend too. Oh no! What did you do?
So this one is the big, huge exhibit that
So
they
what
had.
is golden mummies? I'm going to be pretending to interview you. What is a golden mummy?
So,
Do you want me to flip ahead?
yeah, flip ahead. This one was very interesting, and they basically talk about Egypt when they were already had met.
Right. This is the
Westerners.
Greco-Roman world, right?
Yes,
It's
and
starting
so
to mix.
right when we think of things like the mummy and its ancientness, it's all way before there was contact with
Right.
the West.
Or at the very least, it was all separate.
Yes.
But as empires changed hands and
So this is when the British actually started to take more. The West. So East Europeans started to take
right,
more and
the
more.
Mediterranean was part of the Greco-Roman empires.
Yeah.
There are multiple empires, so we're not trying to say which one. That's not just us being politically correct; it's us being lazy.
But they had great art, and whether it was physical art or like things of art, like
Right.
paintings or whatever, that was actually different than the other Egypt
So this is what's behind me.
stuff that the Egypt display that they had. So you could tell, you could see the difference between the
what's
two.
What's really interesting is there's things that, like, this absolutely does not look Egyptian to me. I'll get to more of it, but the basic idea is there's some things that feel absolutely like Greek.
Yeah.
But Greece was right there, and by this time period, they're all fusing together.
Mm-hmm.
Because the influence has been around for so long that it is impacting the way they do business.
Sure. And of course, the use of gold ended up being a huge influence from these kind of outer
Right, which
the
is
outer
why it's called
cultures coming in.
Golden Mummies.
Yeah. So of course, there's the different dynasties, the ones that were
and if you
alive
read very
during
tiny
the
print, we're talking about 300
Roman.
BC to
Yeah.
about 300 AD.
Yeah. Very only
I can't help
about
myself.
600
All right.
years, very small.
Right, but it's most of what we think of Egyptian history is way, way before this.
Yes.
But there were still the remnants. So this is the slide I was looking for. So I think of this as kind of Eastern Orthodoxy style art.
Yes. Mhm.
This I definitely think of as Greek. This is, this feels Egyptian, and this feels maybe Middle East, but these are all from Egypt.
Yep. Different time periods, different dynasties.
Not, right. This one's the old one, and
Yeah.
all of these are the same time period, just different parts.
Different parts of Egypt was broken up and influenced. Yeah, crazy. Great.
And,
Oh,
you
such
know.
diversity in
Right.
an
I mean, it's
entire
600
country.
years, so I mean, yes,
Yeah.
different time period, but not like we're not going thousands of years anymore. We're talking about hundreds.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the scale right. We're all within this narrow window. 600 years isn't narrow. Okay, all right.
It's pretty narrow
It's
in
narrow
history.
for like Egypt. I wanted to include a little bit of. They were pretty honest. Colonization is why they have so much,
Yes.
and they're pretty honest about it, which is good, but not an A plus because like they don't give it back, but at least they're honest about why they have it. So.
To be fair, there were some things that the Egypt people didn't want back, but it was also Egyptian people didn't want back, but it was also the things that the British people were willing to give back. So maybe nobody wanted those particular things back because it didn't really
there were
have any
examples
significance.
that also. When we say colonization, we don't necessarily mean they're all stolen objects.
Right.
A lot of them were bought, but then again, so was Manhattan. So that doesn't mean we paid what it's really worth. And I'm not sure why I'm saying we. I'm not really. So just some cool pictures of some of the sarcophagi.
Mm-hmm. So
Sarcophagi?
it's the full sarcophagus, and then you have the one on the bottom which has the top taken off, so you can kind of see what the mummy themselves actually look like in the sarcophagus.
Right.
So that was really cool to see that contrast.
But there were multiple sarcophagi.
Oh, there were tons. Absolutely tons.
Oh, wait, is this the last slide?
And that is the last slide.
Oh,
And
I
again,
should just stop talking then.
one of the things that we did want to comment on is through our travels, as we were telling people where we were going, several people said, "Oh, you're going to Manchester.
Oh, yes.
Do you like football?" Which we don't at all in any shape or form.
Soccer for the Americans.
Yes, soccer for the Americans.
American football.
We don't. We're not fans at all, and it was implied that that's
was the
all they
only
are.
thing Manchester is.
That you're going to have a horrible time there because that's all they are.
Between Carmen and this museum and the art gallery,
and the amount of
absolutely one of our favorite cities.
Cool
even
city
now.
things. Way more than football is what Manchester is, and I should have known that. Being from Hawaii, we're more than just surfboards and hula, you know.
And if I was going to end up living in England, Manchester is the city. Is
Manchester's
that fair?
great.
That's fair, yeah.
Manchester's really great.
All right.
All right.
I guess it's time to sign
Yeah,
off.
signing
Thank you,
off.
everybody, and till next time.
Till next time. Bye.
Bye.